I'm done with sex. Forever. I didn't whisper. I didn't leave room for negotiation. I said it on a Sunday night while folding towels like a retail display and pretending that made me decisive. Morgan didn't yell. He looked at the towel I'd just creased into a perfect square and unfolded it once, like he was giving a fabric air. That's a big word, he said finally. Forever. Bigger than no. I snapped. Because that's what I mean. We've been married 6 years. The first 4 were a montage: pasta that somehow turned out, flea market coffee table, road trips with too much gas station candy, sex in the middle of Saturdays. Then my body got weird. Anxiety I could taste, an SSI that muffled everything, pelvic pain that arrived like a prank I couldn't laugh at. The doctor said, dyspareunia, and pelvic floor PT, and let's revisit your meds. I nodded like a student. Then I did nothing. I was tired of being an assignment. Morgan did the things good men do when the bedroom turns into a museum: more dishes, longer hugs, jokes about being last of the handholders. He downloaded a couples app that made intimacy look like chores, then deleted it when I made a face. He suggested therapy with the optimism of a man who genuinely believes tools help. I agreed in theory and rescheduled in practice. Then came Sunday. Towels. Forever. We slept back to back, separated by 7 inches and an ocean. In the morning, he made coffee like a ritual, set my mug down, and said, I'm asking one last time, will you come to sex therapy with me? No, I said, and because I am often brave after the battle has ended, I added, it's coercive to make me process this for you. I meant, I feel broken and I need to be left alone inside my damage. I said it like a thesis. He stared at the steam rising off our mugs. Okay, he said softly. Then we need to talk about what a marriage is without sex. It's companionship, I said too quickly. Partnership. We're best friends. I have friends, he said, not unkindly. I married you. For a month, we lived like careful roommates. He slept in the guest room because my skin jumped at night like a record with a scratch. He stopped reaching for my hand because I flinched and he hated making me flinch. He cooked. I cleaned. We were pleasant and brittle. I told myself this was mature. One night, he came home with a folder. Morgan loves a folder. I met with a counselor, he said. Individually. I wanted language that isn't just me pleading and you defending. What's in your little folder? I sneered, because contempt is a great way to feel powerful when you're actually scared. Options, he said simply. He laid them out like a menu. 1. We try therapy together for 6 months. Sex therapy, pelvic floor PT, med review, the whole toolkit. No pressure to have sex during that time. Goal, figure out what is possible. 2. We accept that sex is off the table, permanently, and we redefine the marriage. Sleeping separately, romance expressed in other ways, but with total clarity that I won't seek it elsewhere. 3. We separate kindly. Maybe we find our way back later. Maybe we don't. 4. If you truly mean forever, and you don't want divorce, we could discuss ethical non-monogamy. With rules, honesty, and consent. You want a hall pass, I said, hearing my own voice curdle. I want a marriage, he said. If that's impossible, I want a life where I'm not lying to the person I love. I chose the ugliest mixture. I said no to therapy because I didn't want homework. I said no to redefining because it felt like admitting failure. I said no to separation because I didn't want to be the villain. And I said yes to openness, but only as a weapon. Fine, I said. Do what you want. Just don't bring it home to me. He didn't gloat. He didn't sprint to download an app. He asked me to write that down. Literally. Consent, in an email, with parameters, no mutual friends, testing, and condoms always, no overnights at our home, full transparency about time away, check-ins weekly to make sure we weren't confusing misery with maturity. He attached a template the counselor had given him. I typed like a martyr, seized my own pride, and pressed send. For 6 weeks, nothing changed except the silence. Then, on a Tuesday, Morgan texted at 6:10 p.m., grabbing dinner with a friend. I'll be home by 10. Milo's fed. He didn't say, friend. He didn't owe me that, I'd insisted on not being told. I threw the message face down like it might contaminate the table. He came home at 9:47, washed his hands, kissed the dog, and asked if I needed anything from the store tomorrow. He didn't perform guilt. He didn't perform glee. He folded laundry while we watched a cooking show where everyone whispers, behind, like a love language. The next week it happened again. Then not for 2 weeks. Then again. He was still him. On time for work, pleasant about garbage day, a man who replaces the foil in the kitchen drawer without needing a parade. Only now, sometimes he had plans. I tried indifference. It lasted 3 days. On the 4th, I asked, too casually, so, how's your friend? He paused on the word, noticing my quotation marks without me having to say them. Good, he said. Her name is Maya. We met at a climbing gym. She knows I'm married and what that means. She isn't interested in my life beyond what we agreed. Another pause. She treats me like an adult and I treat her like a person. Do you love her? I blatted, because if there was going to be drama, I wanted it big enough to justify my feelings. No, he said. That's the point. I spent the night in a Google hole titled How to Be Chill When You Are Not Chill. Every article said the same thing, decide what you agree to, decide if you can live with it, and stop using suffering as proof you're moral. 2 days later, I ran into him and Maya by accident. Grocery store. After work. Produce section. Morgan in his reliable navy, Maya in a soft green tank with chalk on her fingers. She wasn't stunning in a way that would have let me dismiss her as just a type. She looked like someone who sleeps, drinks water, and can tie a proper knot. She laughed at something he said and touched his arm in that light, unthinking way people do when their nervous systems aren't at war. You must be Nina, she said, not flustered, not fake bright. I've heard you make a mean lasagna. Then. Because she is apparently a normal person with boundaries. She said, have a good night, and walked to another aisle so I wouldn't have to perform civility. I stood there holding a bag of spinach like a prop. Morgan didn't apologize for existing in public. He didn't introduce us like a reality show. He put tomatoes in the cart and asked if I needed him to pick up Milo's meds from the vet tomorrow. I hate this, I said in the parking lot. I hate it too, he said. I also hate living inside a marriage where I don't get touched for years and I'm supposed to pretend that's noble. Years. I snapped, wounded. I said, forever, a month ago. You said, not tonight, for 2 years, he said, and his voice didn't sharpen, it softened like he was cushioning the blow for me. I believed you were trying. I asked for help. You said, forever, when I asked for one more try. So I drew a line. Not to punish you. To stop punishing myself. We tried a check-in that Sunday. The counselor had suggested a script, I feel, I need, I will. I said, I feel replaceable, and I need you to stop acting like this is normal, and I will try to be less hostile if you're honest. He said, I feel lonely less, and I need you to stop scoring points off me, and I will move out if this becomes cruelty. Move out, I shot back, and cried as soon as I heard myself. He moved into a small apartment near the river with good light and bad parking. He took the guest bed and the ugly lamp I'd been trying to get rid of for years. He left the coffee grinder because he knows I can't face mornings without it. We set a schedule for the dog. We set a day to talk about the lease. We did not talk about love. Everyone wants a villain here. I wanted one badly. I wanted him to screw up so I could stack my righteousness on his mistake. He didn't. He asked if I wanted the houseplant that only thrives under fluorescent light. He sent me a picture of Milo at the park. He texted me once, late, to ask if I was safe because the storm was bad. He behaved like a person. Finally, because humiliation apparently likes a public square, I saw a picture of him at a climbing gym fundraiser. He and Maya were holding a basket of raffle tickets and grinning like people grin when they are happy for exactly the hours they agreed to be. The caption wasn't about them. It was about the new crash pads the gym was buying. I called my sister. She can be cruel with compassion, which is to say she will hold my hair while telling me the truth. You told him, forever, she said. He believed you. He made a plan. You don't get to be shocked the plan is happening. He has a casual situation, I said, choking on the phrase like it was a vitamin. And you have a marriage you insisted be celibate, she said. Both are choices. One of you is suffering less because he's not dressing his choice up as an accident. I went to therapy, finally, out of spite. I wanted the therapist to say Morgan was trash. She did not. She asked me to say the sentences I avoid until they rot. I said, I am scared sex will hurt. I said, I hate my body when it feels like a machine that broke under warranty. I said, I used coercion like a shield because I didn't want to admit that intimacy started to feel like a job that graded me. We talked about PT and stretches that don't feel like torture and about meds that turn down anxiety without turning me off like a switch. The therapist said, we can try. Without promising your body will be exactly what it was. She said, try doesn't mean perform. She said, he asked for this 6 months ago. I emailed Morgan, not to beg, but to acknowledge. I'm going to therapy. Not for you to come home. For me to stop being at war with myself. He replied, good. I'm rooting for you. Not a heart. Not a flourish. Just a sentence. 2 months into living apart, my mother asked if there was hope. I said I didn't know. Morgan answered for us both later, in a mediation office that smelled like coffee and paper. He wasn't dramatic. He walked through logistics like a man carrying a fragile box, division of savings, both of us off the lease by its end, the dog with him because the stairs at my new place are bad for Milo's hips, a plan to file no fault if neither of us wanted to revisit by the fall. He didn't ask for fault. Fault is a story. He wanted a life. I could try, I said, finally meaning it about therapy and bodies and everything. If we paused everything else. He looked at me for a long time, kind the way you are kind when you remove a splinter. I don't want a marriage that depends on your panic, he said. I want a marriage that depends on your choosing me. If, in 6 months, you have done your work because you wanted to and not because you're jealous, call me. If I'm free, we'll talk. If I'm not, we'll wish each other well. He packed his folder. I signed the paper that said we were separated. He walked me to the elevator and didn't reach for my hand. Take care, Nina, he said, and meant me, not the version of me that performs. He still sees Maya. They still aren't in love. He still shows up to the vet on time and texts me when Milo's paws get red from the grass, because you don't stop being practical just because your heart is complicated. He is not hiding. He's also not flaunting it. He does what he said he would, And then he comes home to an apartment where his climbing rope is coiled neatly and his conscience is, too. People ask if he won. If winning means he didn't turn bitter, yes. If winning means he refused to be my probation officer, yes. If winning means he didn't let my forever make his life a waiting room, yes. He drew a line without carving me up with it. He honored my no and refused to turn himself into a monk to keep me comfortable. I am in therapy. I'm doing the ridiculous, unglamorous work, stretches that make me feel silly, permission to stop mid-kiss without apologizing, med tweaks, words like desire, said in daylight without laughing. I don't know where it ends. I know I won't use suffering as a brand anymore. I know forever is a word for people who want to outsource decisions to time. I know no matters, and so does the cost of it. I told a man I loved that sex was gone forever. He believed me. He made a plan that didn't make me a liar or him a victim. He found a way to be touched without turning it into a secret. He walked away with dignity when the plan revealed we weren't the same shape anymore. Sometimes, late, I almost text him a movie quote or a picture of a dog doing something stupid. I don't. Instead, I fold towels, worse than before but honestly, and practice sentences that don't slam, no, not tonight, if that's true. Yes, let's try, if that is. I don't know, more often. I'm trying, most of all. And if I ever say, forever, again, it will be because I'm promising something I can actually deliver, to tell the truth before it hardens.